Okay, so hi, hello, welcome back to another creepypasta video. Today we'll be reading the Goatman. But before we get into it, I would like to tell you a couple of things. First off, this is all one take, and you can hear by my stumbling. I'm not the best at recording one takes, even though I've been doing it for the past like 200 videos. But, it is what it is. And second of all, please consider using code GOONS at gamersubs.gg. You get 10% off at discount. It is code GOONS at checkout. You get 10% off any purchases, and, it supports the Goons. I'm not sponsored by Gamersubs, though, but if I keep showing out their product, they may sponsor me one day. So I'm going to keep doing it. Because I need money for a PC. Okay, so outside that, let's get into it. Also, I like to tell you about the Goatman before I actually get into it. So the first 10 sentences to the story, it originally started from a 4chan post, and if you've never been to 4chan, it usually has um the I forgot the thing though, but it's usually just like B16 be me, just like stuff like that, so it may sound kind of weird and it kind of sound like out of place, but that's how 4chan is. So, let's get into it. The Goat Man. So, B16. Be black and have a family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting and camping. Down south, cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. No, I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp for a few days. We get to the camp, and it's obvious something is weird. Air has the weird electric smell, like right before before a storm, like ozone. We think nothing of it, and unpack and go down a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager comes out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello to ask us what we're doing far back in the woods. Tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and said we're camping out. He tells us to be real careful out here and stick together. There's a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. I'm going to stop green texting because the story is fairly long and the format is harder to write in. So we ended up playing football, dicking around with me. There's the white kid Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. 6 boys. We were all around 15 to 17. We ended up just dicking the day away. So we head back to the camp and pulling out some stuff for a campfire. Even though the trailers both had kitchenettes, Tanner says his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home, ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's going to get dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock, and it started to get pretty dark. They take flashlights and take trails toward Tan's property. The rest of us chill. We make s'mores, drink, and kiss on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. You can smell it over the smell of the fire that we started. This is really nasty. This really nasty coppery smell, like right after you had a nosebleed and it stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that nasty metallic back of your throat smell. We immediately think that some kind of electrical malfunction, or someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing is on, and we can all smell it. All of a sudden, we can hear people booking down the path towards us. And Rooster, Tan, and the girl all come running into the clearing. Both out of breath, and they don't even break stride. They all run into the trailer, right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out out of there and into the trailers. They ended up calming down. Even Rooster's crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire is guttering lower and lower. So my other cousins say fuck it and are about to go outside to get the generator out of the shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, fuck no, lock the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too. And his eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house. His father said sure, he could go out camping, but to make sure that they were careful on the way back. And that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had come up ripped up and half eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they didn't usually fuck with the live animals. He had gone upstairs and packed his stuff, and told his dad that they would be okay without the rifle because coyotes avoided people. So they started walking back toward where we were camping. So Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but she was just staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He says that they had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black at the time, so they weren't sure at first what the fuck it was. The girl says that they heard something in the bushes right off the trail, and they beamed their flashlights over there, and there was someone standing back in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they shouted at him and told him that he was scaring the fuck out of them, and what a dick he was. He says that he realized that the guy was facing away from them, so they kept walking. And they start smelling the nasty, coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side, and there's a dude standing in the forest. Backward, slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking, and Tan keeps going. I should have taken that fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is still super strong, even inside the cabin. They say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering has started coming from both sides of the woods. As they started booking it back to the trailer, the girl says she had flashed her flashlight out into the woods to the side of them, and had seen something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder. And when they could see the light from our campfire, something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track, and they had just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. So we're out in the fucking woods, and we're assuming at this point is some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, my cousin Junior starts going on about how we went to school with a native kid that was telling about the Goatman or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't need any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps on going about how it's the fucking Goatman and how we're in this woods and blah blah blah. Now at the time, I had never heard of this Goatman or anything of that. But then a couple of years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had a Menom for a roommate and I ended up asking him about it. And sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift as he gets among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be kind of like the Wendigo, and it's bad mojo to even talk about it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back then. I was 16. So my cousin is the Goatman's going to get in and fucking get us. The girl's all terrified, and my cousins and I are all fucking trying to figure it out. It was just some hillbillies or if it's some animal. So all of a sudden, the smell just goes away. Like, to this day, I haven't even experienced anything like it. Like, usually smells fade away or lessen. It's just literally was there 1 second and then gone. Then not. It was just literally. It's just literally was there 1 second and then not the second. I'm jumping back in here right now. I'm having a hard time reading this because the way that it's typed is not good, but I'm doing my best. So moving on. So, it's after an hour, making it around 9 or 10. We stopped shooting bricks enough to go back outside and stroke the fire again. We figure it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us so we don't go back home. Because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. Nothing else weird has happened that night, and we stay another night. And for the main part of the night, nothing happens, and about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories as someone is finishing some too spooky story. I don't remember what about. The smell comes back. It's so fucking strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can actually feel how clammy the air is. I say we should go inside, and this isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousin just keeps on going about how's the Goatman, and my cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up, and all the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong. I can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting there for a while. The smell is just as strong, and we're terrified, and all huddled in this camper. We end up cooking brats for everyone because nobody wants to go outside. It's one of those packs with 4 brats. We have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove. I give everybody a hot dog. I get mine. And after a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the pot to get another one. He starts grumbling about how I get 2 brats and everyone else only gets 1. And I looked at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everybody only got 1 because there's only 12 brats. If he wants more, he should open up a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl had been out with Rooster and Tan just started screaming. Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get it out. She's crying and shivering. And then it dawns on the cousin standing up, what the fuck is wrong? Me and him both glance around the room, then I feel my heart fucking sink. I run the fuck out of the cabin, and the girl runs out with us. The trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer as everybody books out of the cabin. One of my cousins asks us what the fuck is wrong. I start counting us. There's only 11 now. I shit you not, my cousin verified. There had always been 12 people in the cabin. But being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had really noticed the whole fucking time that there was an extra person. And then I realized that I had kind of noticed something was off. You know, when you're just digging around having fun and a good time, that you don't sweat about the smallest shit. And you don't always keep track of certain stuff. I'm dead sure that someone else had been in the trailer with us, and that they had been there for at least a fucking day, eating with us. And what makes it worse is, I could figure out which one it was because I don't think anyone ever actually interacted with the other person / the Goatman. The girl kept praying to Jesus and we're all outside. Eventually we get big ass sticks and go back to the cabin, but nobody's in there. We count again, and there's 11 people. We go back into the trailer and lock the door. We explain what the fuck happened, and the girl says that she realized it too. And that when he was about to say something, the person sitting next to her grabbed her leg and leaned over towards her and said something that she couldn't understand. So we are pretty much scared as fuck as we huddle together. And I fall asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up and half the people are asleep and the other half are packing our shit up. We all want to walk back home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up. And some people think that we're just fucking around and still want to stay in trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl's name was Kira, the one that the Goatman had touched. Anyways, I asked her if she really thinks that it was something bad. And she just says that she just wants to go home, and she doesn't want to be out in the woods for another night. So, we decided to split up. The four that want to go, they can go. But I had to stay because I have the keys to the cabin. And it's my uncle's, and I had to lock it up. I'm super pissed at this point, because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spend the rest of the night. I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with them to go get the rifle and says he's going to be back. So there are just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet, and we're getting extremely fucking antsy. And the only reason I stopped begging them to go back was because he went to get a gun. It's about 5:30 p.m. or so when the one cousin that did stay says that the girl Kira is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she was standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she was so fucking scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time the coppery smell has been gone. Now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them and everybody, and these are the people that wanted to stay in the fucking woods after we had the goddamn Goatman in our midst, is laughing at me and asking if I set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like, I'm not fucking bullshitting you at all right now. I asked them why the fuck would I play like that. So one of the girls go outside to get Kira. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kira starts heaving. I don't know how the fuck to describe it. Sort of like if someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making a sound. It was this fact that made me realize that there was not a fucking sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was like later in September, so it was fairly hot at the time, but it was super chilly some days too. And you can usually hear big ass geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit chattering. So I step out the door and tell her to come back in the fucking trailer right goddamn now. She backs up into the trailer and we lock the fucking door. We pull down all the shades except one, and put a guy there in a chair to watch her. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so, and the guy turns to say that she's still there, and then there's a huge fucking bang on the door. We all jump the fuck up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The banging is super fucking loud. So now my cousin is holding one of the girls, and the other 2 are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. And me and 2 other guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tanner. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in! Stop fucking playing!" So, we go over to the door and open it, and he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Kira standing there, and when he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned towards him with a slack-jawed look and just stared at him, slowly tracking him as he walking around the outside of this clearing towards the camp. He said it wasn't until he was almost halfway to the trailer he realized that she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she had been turning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin thinking it would open, and when he got to the door, it was locked. He turned and it was about half the distance to the door. Wait, what? Okay, I thought I read this wrong, but I'm just trying to read it to as the best of my ability with the original post. So sorry for jumping back in, but yeah. Moving on. He looks around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know there's only seven of us in here, right?" I get that feeling where your stomach drops into your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. And then when we all went outside to talk earlier in this day, it has just slipped back in. We looked out the window and there's nobody out there. So we recount everyone, and then basically I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. And everybody says 8. I say, well, how many are here now? They all do the count, and then realize that there are only now 7 people in the cabin. So Tan had brought back a couple boxes of ammo and his rifle, and he had told his dad that there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think his dad would believe him if he said it was Goatman. He says that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and that in the morning we can all go back to his place, and the cousin will drive us home. Now, I'm really fucking terrified. But I at least feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is if it comes back. But then my cousin gets into this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them, and that she's getting really scared, and that I'm not funny. He keeps telling her that I'm not that kind of person, and she says, well, how do we know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really Goatman? How do we know that this is the real Tanner, and the Goatman just didn't kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? So we fucking get into a huge argument about this, where me and Tan are like, we could seriously be in danger because at the very least, someone has been sneaking themselves into our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at the worst, something bad is in the forest fucking with us. One of the girls is crying and saying she wants to go right now, and we're all trying to tell her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down, and it's getting a little cloudy out. Leave something and turn on the radio for a while, but we can't really get the station out there or anything decent. So we turn it off about the time that Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think, and at this point, the sun is just barely over the horizon, and he has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and a rifle. He walks up to the trailer, and we whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that his cousin, and he says yes. The guy looks behind the camp, the guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then walks in. He kind of glances at all of us and looks a little kind of confused. He says, where's your other little buddy at? I figure she will meet me in the cabin. Is she a little slow or something? He also asked whether we had been cooking blood in the cabin, because it smelled like blood and hot pans all the way up the trail. We were all like, fucking nope. But we asked him what the fuck he's talking about with the girl he saw. He had come down the same trail Tan had been using, and he had come up on. One of those guys' buddies, standing in the middle of the trail looking at him slack-jawed, he asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was just look at him. Then she just smiled at him she smiled at him, and he said he kept walking. She couldn't keep up with him and kept lagging a little behind him. He asked her if she was hurt or something and if she needed any help, but she had continued to stare. Eventually, he had been walking and turned around a bend in the trail, but when he turned around and went back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He assumed she had taken some sort of shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We tell him the whole story about what's going on. I half expected him to say we were full of shit, but he just listened and then sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says, when she kept trying to lag behind him, it had kind of weirded him the fuck out. So he tried to keep her in front of him, but no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. And then he smelled this nasty smell, and it got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually it got really strong. She had said something really low that he didn't catch, and when he had turned around, she had been right the fuck up on him, and he stepped back from her. It was at this point he asked her if she was okay, and if she isn't, him to carry her back the rest of the way, and she just kept staring. He said he reached out for her as to grab her shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side of where he had put his hand. Like, if she had moved while he was looking dead at her. So at this point, we know this shit's real, unless Tan is playing a joke, which we can tell he's not because he's almost pissing his pants. So, they load up the rifles, and we eat some more, and we just kind of sit around till about 11. To this fucking day, every time I think about it, I really pray to God that it's some huge prank that my cousins played on me, and just never revealed so I was shit for the rest of my life. At around 11, the stink of copper turns into an actual nasty, gross blood-like smell, like cooking blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin, Reese, get the fuck up and instantly grab the rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not, there's his voice, and it sounds like when you see those YouTube cats and dogs whose owner teaches them how to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing." It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body, and one of the girls just starts crying and calling on Jesus. It was so fucking obvious it was not a person talking. It didn't even have the right cadence, and that some shit that I never realized until that moment. But all people have a certain cadence when they talk, no matter what language. All people have a certain kind of rhythm to talking. This shit didn't have any kind of cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats, that's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. So now I'm in full terror mode. We keep yelling outside. "Who is it? Stop fucking around, man!" And it just keeps saying, "In," or "Let me the fuck in," for almost about 15 minutes. And also, so they linked a YouTube video, and I'm assuming it's gonna be a cat, like talking, or like, you know, how they sound like they're talking. But I'm broke and I don't have a PC, so just imagine like the cat saying, "Oh, Johnson." There we go. Moving on. It sounded like this almost just not funny. Sorry for being on a tangent, but if you can't imagine how this shit sounded, then you can't imagine how fuck up the whole situation was. So then the smell goes away for a while, and for the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically creeping around the woods and shit. Every couple minutes, they'll come back to the door and say something. Finally, when the smell fades away, it's around 2 in the morning right now. Reese says, "Man, fuck this," and opens the door and walks out with his rifle. He fires a shot into the air and says something to the effect of, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away!" He fires 2 more times, and then from the woods right up against the river across from the trailer, it sounded like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. And then it starts screaming, and it sounds almost like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like, I seriously had never heard any shit like this, and you can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line and then starts backing into the house. We lock the door and we can hear the shit keening and screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes super low to the ground and crawling towards the cabin, and he had shot at it. Pretty much, that's how the rest of the night went. It was literally screaming constantly for the next 2 hours, and we could hear shit moving out in the tree line. But it never came back up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in a chair, watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this, and he told me 2 days later, after the whole thing was over. He said he had been nodding off after the screaming and noises finally stopped, and he had been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then lay down in the middle of the floor to go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us, and he had nodded off. Then he said he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There was 9 people in the cabin. He basically didn't want to try to shoot at the fucking thing in the cabin and have it kill us all then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and then we kill ourselves. So he just stayed awake all night pretending to be asleep. He says sometimes it will stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing, or heave like it was laughing, but then it will lay back down. The story closes pretty weak, because from my perspective, nothing happened. We woke up, and I noticed that Tan was a little jittery, and that he was avoiding looking at all of us. But we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin, said he'll walk up and bring He said he'd lock up and bring my uncle's keys to just start walking. He'd catch up, which I really didn't want to fucking do. We got up a little bit up the path, and when he came running up, basically we just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Tan had gone back to lock it up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock the screenless window. The window was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing he had been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up, and then getting in among us. It walked with all the goddamn way back to his house. It walked with us all the goddamn way back to his house. And then he said it lagged to the back of the group and looked at him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods. Okay, so that's that's the Goatman. So yeah, I knew the Goatman, but I never really knew the kind of like small story behind him. It's not a bad story. I don't think it's a bad story at all. It's kind of weird though, and also I did kind of find it funny that Among Us, but yeah, I have dumb Zoomer brain or dumb. I don't know what. I was born in '03. You guys can figure out what generation I'm from, but yeah, that was the Goatman. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. I don't know if we're gonna be doing more of like the more like legacy creepypastas. I may read like Slenderman now too, because looking back, I did Jeff the Killer. I even did Nina the Killer, which you haven't checked out the videos. Check it out, and yeah, I may do a lot more. But yeah, I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Again, sorry for how explicit the story was. There was a lot of F-bombs in it, but you know, that's how I have to kind of talk in real life too, so sorry about that. But yeah, I think the story was good though. I didn't think Goatman was the one that actually like try to play like, you know, kind of like the It Follows technique where like it blends in with the group. But I think it's actually pretty cool though, or like the thing. There we go. But yeah, all my links are down below. I have a Ko-Fi link if you want to support me. I make no money off these videos, and yeah. All my links are down below. You can find my art, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff, like TikTok, and yeah. So, I do want to say, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.